What's up, my dudes? Today we're answering the question, are REITs worth investing in? In my opinion, yes. And the reason isn't really about the real estate itself. It has to do with the rules that Congress put in place back in 1960. So today we're talking about the Cigar Excise Extension Act of 1960, because where else would Congress put the democratization of real estate ownership? Thank you, President Eisenhower. I like Ike. The idea behind REITs was to allow ordinary investors to own income-producing real estate in much the same way that mutual funds allow them to own diversified stock portfolios. Interestingly, this was the second attempt to create real estate investment trusts. The first being vetoed by Eisenhower in 1956. He believed that as written, the real estate investment trusts were not comparable to mutual funds and could create a tax loophole that could be exploited by a wider range of companies and therefore begin to erode the corporate tax base. In order to open real estate investment trusts up to the general population rather than remain in the hands of the wealthy, Congress created a few rules. The original idea began with commercial real estate investments, but that has since expanded quite a bit to include apartment complexes, storage facilities, casinos, and many more. One of the requirements to qualify as a REIT is they generally have to distribute at least 90% of their taxable income to shareholders. In exchange, qualifying REITs generally don't pay federal corporate income taxes on the income they distribute. The other part of the deal is that the dividends are generally taxed as ordinary income to the investors, so it's generally a good idea to hold the real estate investment trusts in a Roth account whenever possible. The added constraints in the 1960 bill is what really attracted me, both the ownership requirements and the requirement to distribute 90% of their federal taxable income. 5 or fewer people generally can't own more than 50% of a REIT. Therefore, many REITs generally cap individual investors at just under 10% ownership. Many executives and CEOs of REITs are large shareholders as well, and I like the idea of having the management team with a vested interest of making me more money. Much of the executives' compensation is tied to equity awards as well as performance metrics, such as funds from operations, both of which give them a compelling reason to make sure that the company makes as much money as possible, which will then be distributed to shareholders. And for my income strategy, I really like the real estate investment trusts that pay out on a monthly schedule because it provides a nice base income and helps smooth out those months where my quarterly payouts are a little bit less. So are real estate investment trusts worth investing in? In my opinion, yes. They're actually one of my favorite asset classes based on those rules that were put in place in 1960. Additionally, it's another asset class for diversification. That is, of course, my opinion. If you enjoy this kind of content, consider subscribing, and I will see you next week.